My name is Jasmine. I am 49 years old. 10 years ago, I was married. My husband Richard and I lived a happy life. We met on a bus. People say good girls don't talk to strangers, but we talked. We liked each other. We dated for 1 year. Then we got married. When we married, I was young, happy, and beautiful. I always wanted to lose weight, but I was not fat. Richard always said, "Stop your diets. You don't need them." He cared about me. I didn't understand it then. Richard was a simple man. He didn't bring me flowers every day. He didn't bring me coffee in bed often. One time he brought coffee to my bed, but it spilled on my dress. I asked him not to do it again. Richard loved me in his own way. He went to work every day. We had 2 sons. Richard taught them to respect me. At first, Richard worked as a builder. Then he became a manager. Later, he started his own company. We built a house outside the city. Richard told me not to work. He said, "Take care of the house and the garden." I planted flowers. I grew fruits and vegetables. Our sons grew up. They got married. Soon, we had a granddaughter. Her name is Claire. Richard loved Claire very much. One day, our older son said he would bring Claire to visit us, but Richard said, "I can't. I have to work this weekend." I was surprised. I asked, "Why can't you come home in the evening?" Richard said, "Maybe I will stay at my father's house." His words worried me. Something felt wrong. The next day, I drove to Richard's office. I didn't see him there. The security guard said, "He is not here." Then I heard the guard's wife whisper, "Poor woman, everyone knows, but she doesn't." I felt cold. I called Richard and said, "We need to talk." Richard came home. I asked, "Do you have another woman?" Richard said, "Yes." My heart broke. I thought we were happy, but I was wrong. I stood up. I couldn't sit there anymore. I asked, "Will you leave or should I leave?" Richard said, "I will leave." He packed his bags. I sat on the sofa, watching him. My face was wet with tears, but I didn't wipe them. He took his clothes, his books, his watch. I wanted to scream. I wanted to beg him to stay, but I did nothing. He hugged our sons and kissed on their forehead and said, "I'm really sorry." Our sons kept crying. They asked their father not to leave them, but he didn't answer. He sighed, then opened the door and left. My world fell apart. I heard the silence in the house. Then I broke. I cried. I cried so hard that my whole body hurt. I felt alone. My sons came to see me. They hugged me. They listened to my story. I told them, "Your father left me, but he is still your father. Respect him." Days passed. I felt sad. Nights were the hardest. I couldn't sleep. I lost weight. I didn't smile. One day, my friend Dorothy came. She said, "Jasmine, come with me." Dorothy took me to a children's hospital. The children there had cancer. They were very sick, but they smiled. Their mothers stayed with them and cared for them. Dorothy said, "Jasmine, look at these women. They have real problems. Your problems are small." That day I changed. I started helping the children. I found sponsors to pay for their treatment. Helping the children made me happy. I smiled again. 10 years passed. It was my birthday. I waited for my sons to visit me. Then the door opened. It was Richard. Richard looked old and tired. He said, "Jasmine, can I stay here?" I said, "This is your house too." Richard sat down. He said, "I'm sorry. Please forgive me." I didn't know what to say. Dorothy told me later that Richard's new wife had left him. She lied to him. Her child was not his. Now I don't know what to do. Can I forgive Richard? Can I forget the pain? Every day I think about it. Should I let Richard stay, or should I ask him to leave again? Richard stayed in the guest room. He didn't say much. I didn't know what he was thinking. I didn't know how I felt. I cooked dinner. Richard sat at the table. He said, "The food smells good, Jasmine." I didn't answer. I just put the plates on the table. When we were eating, Richard said, "I missed your cooking. No one cooks like you." I wanted to smile, but I didn't. I said, "You made your choice, Richard." After dinner, I washed the dishes. Richard tried to help. I said, "No, I can do it." The next day, my sons came to visit. They saw Richard. "Dad, what are you doing here?" they said, surprised. Richard looked down. He said, "I made a mistake. I hurt your mother. Now I want to fix it." My older son, Stanley, looked at me. He asked, "Mom, are you okay with this?" I said, "I don't know yet." Stanley and my younger son, Chester, took me to another room. They said, "Mom, you don't have to let him stay. We can take care of you." I said, "I need time to think." That night I couldn't sleep. I thought about the past. Richard hurt me deeply, but he was also a good father. He helped raise our sons. He worked hard for our family. I asked myself, can people change? Can I trust him again? The next morning, Richard was in the garden. He was fixing the fence. I watched him from the window. He looked older, slower, but he was working hard. I went outside. I said, "Richard, you don't have to do this." Richard said, "I want to help. This is still my family." I didn't say anything. I walked back inside. A few days later, Claire, our granddaughter, came to visit. She saw Richard. She ran to him and hugged him. "Grandpa," she said. Richard smiled. It was the first time I had seen him happy in years. Claire said, "Grandma, Grandpa said he missed me. Can we all go to the park together?" I didn't want to go, but Claire begged me, "Please, Grandma, it will be fun." We went to the park. Claire played on the swings. Richard and I sat on a bench. Richard said, "Thank you for letting me come back, Jasmine." I said, "I haven't decided yet, Richard." Richard nodded. "I understand. Take your time. I will wait." Days turned into weeks. Richard stayed in the guest room. He fixed things around the house. He helped in the garden. One day, Dorothy came to visit me. She said, "Jasmine, are you okay with Richard here?" I said, "I don't know. I feel angry, but I also feel sorry for him." Dorothy said, "You don't have to forgive him right away, but maybe this is a chance for both of you to heal." That night, I thought about Dorothy's words. Perhaps she was right. The next morning I made breakfast. I called Richard to the table. I said, "Richard, let's talk." Richard sat down. He looked nervous. I said, "I don't know if I can forgive you, but I want to try." Richard's eyes filled with tears. He said, "Thank you, Jasmine. I will do everything to make it right." We started spending more time together. We talked about the past. Richard said he was sorry many times. One day I told him, "Richard, I will forgive you, but it will take time. You have to prove that you've changed." Richard nodded. "I will, Jasmine, I promise." Over time, things got better. We started laughing again. We became friends. I still don't know what the future holds, but I know this: forgiveness is not easy. It takes time, love, and patience. Maybe one day our family will feel whole again. I hope you enjoyed the story. What do you think about Jasmine's situation? Should she forgive Richard and let him stay? Or should she move on and focus on her new life? Share your opinions in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.